morning. Today is a little bit of a random video, like kind of a day in my life kind of vlog. I had something really fun planned for this week, but for that video I need to be like out and about in nature, and the weather has been so horrible the past few days. It's so typical. Like, I come from the rainiest country in the world. I moved to Italy and all we get is rain. I mean, that's a little bit dramatic. Like, on the whole, there's not a lot of rain in this country, but the past few days it feels like I'm back in the Netherlands. There's so much rain. Right now, the rain has let up for a moment, so I'm gonna take Louis to the park because also the past few days he's barely been out of the house because he hates rain. He refuses to walk in the rain, but he's a little fat, so he absolutely needs some exercise today. Then I just have some like random things to do today. I have a little bit of work to do, but mostly I want to take this day to just take care of myself a little bit. My boyfriend is gone for work today. It's quite a rare occurrence that I get the house to myself. So I want to make the most of that by having like a little bit of a self-care day. Mostly because my health has been not good lately. Like the past few weeks I've really been struggling. For some reason I have this ongoing eye infection that just won't stop. Like, you can't tell, but it's like in my lash line and all my eyelashes are falling out, which is horrible. But aside from that, it's not too bad, but it's just a sign that inside me something is not going good. And then last Friday, I got a huge pain attack from my endometriosis, which was pretty devastating because it has been like 6 months since that happened last. So I thought I was doing good with like my diet, trying to live healthy, taking all my supplements, because I'm trying to deal with my endometriosis in like a natural way until I really can't anymore. But that pain attack really showed me that it's still really bad, or maybe even getting worse. But yeah, I went to the park by myself last Friday, and like not 2 minutes in, suddenly the pain, it was so, like, this was pain I've never felt before. It was even worse than the last time. I was just literally crying, bent over, almost vomiting on a bench in the park, and I had to call my boyfriend to bring like this super strong ibuprofen, and I thought that would fix it. But of course it takes a while to kick in, and the pain was so bad that in the end my boyfriend decided to call an ambulance, just because like I couldn't even get a word out. It was so bad and we were stuck in the park. So yeah, he called an ambulance, but by the time we got to the hospital and I was put in like the waiting room, by then the ibuprofen had kicked in and I started to feel a little better, and the wait in the waiting room was so long and I was so exhausted from the pain and just cold from the shock that I just wanted to go home. So in the end, I went home. And now thinking back, I'm like, that's so stupid. I could have had a checkup already, but I decided to go home. That was not the smartest decision of my life. So right now, I don't really know what was going on or what happened. Like, I know it's my endometriosis, but I don't know if it's gonna worse or not. So that's a little bit scary, and I'm really thinking right now like what I should do, if I should start the pill anyway, just to make sure it stops for a moment, and then I can figure out my options from there. So that's sort of what I'm going through right now. It's honestly so exhausting. It feels like a constant battle with my body, but also with like medical professionals who just don't want to think with me. Like, it's so frustrating that no one knows where endometriosis comes from. There's so little research, there's so little known, and they're just like, just slam the pill in there and hope for the best, because the pill is also not a foolproof medicine for endometriosis and it might make you feel worse. And it's so exhausting to have an illness that, yeah, people just don't know enough about. And it's just so scary because my fertility is on the line. And also it can grow into other organs and actually cause organ failure there, which right now is really terrifying me. So that's why I want to take steps as soon as possible. But yeah, all this takes a huge toll on the brain. Like, it's so exhausting mentally. So all that is to say, today I want to take it slow. Maybe do some yoga. I had a healthy smoothie this morning, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm taking care of myself right now. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to take Louis to the park, but I'm a little bit scared because like the last time I went to the park by myself, I got the pain, and right now my boyfriend is not anywhere close to here, so he cannot come and rush out to help me if I need it. So I'm a little bit worried, but I'm just gonna take my ibuprofen and just hope for the best. I really need to get out of this house for a bit. And now I'm going to do my lips because I've been holding this for the past 10 minutes, but I can't stop talking. Because of my eye infection, I also haven't worn eye makeup in a month, and it's kind of good for me. Like, I'm getting used to a more natural face this way because I used to wear eyeliner every day. And now that I can't, I kind of like appreciate it in a way because I'm forced to embrace my more natural face. she says as she's drawing on freckles. Okay, you can't really see on the camera, but I used my eyebrow gel to make freckles and it worked pretty good. I'm impressed. Okay, time to get dressed and go to the park. I hope it's still dry. Fingers crossed. Okay, update, it's raining again, so I fear we will not make it to the park because Louis refuses to walk in the rain. So it's just gonna be a short walk again. My yoga and Pilates and it made me so relaxed that I kind of don't feel motivated to start work right now, but I must. But oh my god, it's been so good to start yoga again. I used to go to yoga classes when I still lived in the Netherlands, but then when I got to Italy, obviously here I don't speak the language yet, so I was a little hesitant to join a class, but then I realized I can just do it at home. So this week I bought a yoga mat and like yoga blocks so I can do all the exercises at home, and it's been so good. It's just been so nice feeling my body again and sort of like making a connection with it, because like everything I do, my hobbies, my work, it's all with my head. Like all day long I'm using my brain and it feels like I'm a big walking head without actually feeling my body most of the time. So I think yoga is really essential for me to feel good. I just kind of, you know, forgot about that, but it feels good to be back in that flow. Also, as predicted, the walk was very short this morning because it was raining so hard, but I just checked and it's supposed to clear up this afternoon. So if this afternoon is going to be dry, I will definitely try and go to the park, because I cannot have a self-care balancing reset day without seeing some nature and touching some trees. It's essential, so I have to go. Also, I realized this is very out of my usual content, like doing yoga, making smoothies. Like, I am not that organized in my life. I am not a fit, self-care, clean girl. I wish I was, but I'm not. But you know, this is just a reminder that even if you're messy and your house isn't a minimalist yoga temple, you can still do these things and do things, you know, that feel good for your body sometimes. So that is my message of today. Also, I just went to pick up the mail when I was with Louis, and the February issue of my favorite newspaper is here. This is not sponsored, but I just keep promoting this because, first of all, it looks good in my videos and in my content. And second of all, I'm truly such a big fan. It's a newspaper that doesn't actually share news, but talks about like spiritual, mythological, philosophical, I don't know, all kinds of topics, just to reconnect with nature, with yourself, with the spiritual, with history. It is just so good, and I love taking a moment for myself reading my newspaper. It just feels like I'm a fancy old man reading his newspaper during breakfast. So I'm gonna save this one for lunch later. I can't wait. Also, if you're wondering why I'm wearing an ugly brown sweater right now, this is my workout sweater and I don't feel like changing right now. So it is what it is. This says Saturday Running Club, which is so ironic because I hate running. I cannot do it, it makes me hyperventilate. The only place I can run is on a treadmill. Like last year, I tried running on a treadmill on my bare feet and suddenly I ran 5K without any problems. Like, I did have a fantasy workout playlist on, maybe that helped me because I was like pretending I had to run away from the enemy, you know? But that was good, and now I kind of want a treadmill, but I absolutely do not have the space for that. I don't know where I was going with this story, but treadmills are nice. I am done with work. I just had lunch and are we seeing this? Sun! So I'm gonna get dressed in a normal outfit and run to the park right now. Whenever you feel the sun on your skin like this after a few days or weeks of bad weather, it always feels like suddenly everything's gonna be alright again. I found this picnic bench in the middle of a beautiful field and it's so quiet here. There's no one around and it's the best feeling ever. Louis is busy eating grass. Oh my god, I needed this. The book I'm reading right now is Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. Last year I read my first book by her, which was Agua Viva, and I fell in love with it. I love how philosophical and almost hypnotic her writing is. Like, she writes in this sort of stream of consciousness style that I really enjoy, and like every line she writes is just pure poetry. You could take every line separately and it would be a work of art on its own. Reading it all together can be a bit much sometimes because like not a lot of it makes sense. It's very chaotic. So sometimes I have to take a little break in between, but this one again is really, really good. And this one has a bit more of a story to it than Agua Viva did. This is about a young girl, Joanna, who grows up with a mind of her own. She's very curious. She thinks a lot about life, has a lot of questions. And I think later in life she decides to make her own way. She decides to separate from her husband and, you know, start living life on her terms. And I just really enjoy the way Clarice Lispector manages to put into words those kind of sensations we all have, but you would not really know how to describe. Like sensations like intense joy that suddenly rushes into you and you don't really know where it comes from. Or like you are almost grasping some idea in your head, like some deeper inner truth or like truth about who you are, and you feel it there. It's like on the edge of your brain, but you cannot really grasp it. Like those ideas, she describes them so accurately, and I just keep underlining them because I'm like, oh my god, this is how this thing felt, and she just put it into words. And I love it when books do that. I love it so much. So I'm really, really enjoying this one. It is the next day because yesterday when I came back from the park, I just didn't feel like filming anymore. I just wanted to plop down on the couch and play Nintendo Switch. So that's what I did. But I did want to give a little reading update in this vlog because I have been reading some amazing books lately. I am finally back on my literary fiction kick after reading almost exclusively fantasy for months, which I usually do that in the winter. Like in the winter I just feel like escaping, reading some cozy fantasy, stuff like that. But this time it was really bad. Like, I also enjoy reading something every now and then that like really makes me think, that just makes me work a little harder, and afterwards really makes me feel like I did something. And with fantasy I don't really have that. Like, I enjoy it a lot, but afterwards it's also like out of my head. But now I read some books that really made a very deep impression on me, so I just wanted to quickly show which ones they are. The first book I finished this year was Ghostwall by Sarah Moss. This is a very short read. This follows a young teenage girl, Sylvie, and her parents who spend their summer joining a sort of like archaeological experiment. Like, they join this group of students and the professor who are living in the wild as if it's the Iron Age as part of their studies. And I think they are just joining for fun because the dad is super interested in history. But at its heart, this is a story of domestic abuse. Sylvie's dad is super abusive, not only physically but also psychologically. And this abuse is now taking place in this super suffocating small setting of a group of people in the English forest that have nothing but like their tunics, a hut, and a campfire basically. And here Sylvie comes in touch with the other students who are older, more mature, more experienced. And the relationship she develops with these students stands in very stark contrast with the relationship she has with her parents. And the setting and reading about the abuse from Sylvie's innocent mind it just makes it a very vivid and original and just gut-wrenching book. It was really good and also just so original, and I really couldn't stop thinking about this after I finished it. The next one I read was I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. And I picked this up because so many people were talking about this in 2024. Like, this is already quite an old book. I think it's from the 90s, but suddenly it's completely back, and a lot of people mentioned this as one of their favorite books of all time. So I was really curious, and it was really good, but I think it was hyped up too much for me, so my expectations were way too high. Like, it was still amazing, and again, super original, but a thing that I struggle with a little bit is how this is always recommended as this super feminist book, but I don't know if it is. Like, it probably is if everyone's saying it, but the themes that are described in this book did not feel feminist to me at all. There's a lot of like emphasis on the function of a woman as a childbearer, as someone whose destiny in life is to marry, find a husband, and bear children. Because the protagonist of this book, she grows up in a bunker with 39 other women. They are locked up there and nobody really knows why. And the protagonist was there from a very young age, so she doesn't remember the normal world, and she has never met a man because she's only there with women. There are guards walking around that are men, and that's the only like idea she has of men. And that is basically where the story starts. So the protagonist is also a virgin. She doesn't really know what romantic feelings are, and she does not get her period, probably because of the horrible circumstances she grew up in. But because of this, she sort of grapples with the questions like, am I a person? If I cannot bear children, what does that mean? And that made it feel very unfeminist to me, and also just very backwards. But of course, the protagonist thinks this way because she grows up with 39 women who are all very like traditional housewives and not very educated. So this is the only worldview she has. So maybe as a reader, you're supposed to think like she thinks this way because this is what her circumstances are. So in that sense, I guess it could be feminist. I don't know. I think it's a book where it is what the reader makes of it. And I love those kind of books. I love thinking about a story and what it means and what it means to me. So in that sense, this one was really, really interesting. But it just didn't blow me away as much as I thought it would. Also because, like, there are a lot of questions posed in this book and a lot of them do not get answers, which is quite frustrating. But also for what it is, it just makes sense. It was definitely an experience and I would recommend it. It was very cool, but it didn't blow me away. A book that did blow me away, however, is The Safekeep by Yael van der Wouden. I already mentioned it in my previous video. This is a Dutch author and she got nominated for a Booker Prize, which is amazing because it doesn't happen a lot to Dutch authors. Just in general, Dutch authors do not get read a lot internationally. So the fact that this book has become so big is already really cool in itself. So naturally, I was very curious about this one. And oh my god, it was so good. Like, there is a plot twist in this book that I kind like at some point I kind of saw it coming, but still when it happened, it still punched me in the gut. This book sheds light on a part of Dutch history that I knew nothing about, and I am shocked that we did not learn about it in school. The setting of this book is like 10 years after World War II, so Netherlands is free again from the Germans, and it follows Isabel. Is that her name? Yeah, it follows Isabel, and she lives alone in her family's home in the countryside. Her mother has passed away, her brothers have moved away to the city, and then one day her brother brings his girlfriend to Isabel's house and asking if that girlfriend can stay with her for a while. And Isabel hates this girlfriend. She has already met her before, she absolutely despises her, but her brother convinces her to agree, so she lets this girlfriend stay. And Isabel becomes kind of obsessed with this girl, Eva. She starts following her around the house. She starts counting items to see if things are getting stolen, which they are. And the atmosphere is just very tense. It's very suffocating. It almost feels like a psychological thriller at the start. But then halfway through, things absolutely turn around. I cannot tell you what part of history this book talks about without spoiling a big part of the story. And this one, it just should be a complete surprise. Like, just go into it blindly. Don't read anything about it and just let yourself be surprised. But it was just so good. Like, my boyfriend came to me while I was reading like the most intense part of this book, and I was just sort of like shaking almost because of how hard it hit me. It was deeply emotional. It was like really tragic, like a punch in the gut. It was beautiful. It's also a tragic sapphic love story. I don't know, I cannot say enough good things about this book. It was amazing and you should read it. And then the two books I'm currently reading, I already talked about Near to the Wild Heart, but the other book I am also reading is Zero Zoom by Joyce Carol Oates. I'm really on a Joyce Carol Oates like reading kick lately. I love her writing. I love how she often uses like the classic gothic setup in modern stories. She does that really well. And this is a short story collection, and every short story sort of revolves around the zero sum economic theory, which I think is the theory that you can gamble sort of, where if you gamble only for yourself, you have the chance of getting the highest reward, but no one else gets anything. Or you decide to divide the reward with others in the hopes that everyone agrees and then everyone gets something. I think it's sort of like that. But every story in this book is sort of created around this idea. And so far, I am not loving it. The stories are interesting. I really enjoyed the first one specifically, but after that, I haven't really found a story yet that really got to me. But I'm also not really in a short story mood, I noticed. Because for me, it takes a lot of effort to get into a story. It just takes me a while to like feel the flow of the story I'm reading. And with short stories, you have to get into that flow every time. And I just noticed that right now I'm not really in the mood to put in that effort. So maybe I should just put this aside for a while and give it another chance later. But I do love her writing. I do love the way she looks at the world. It's just these stories are not really gripping me so far, but that might change. But I'm just gonna continue reading Near to the Wild Heart because I'm really loving this one. So that was my reading update. I do have one other thing I want to show you. I ordered some new shoes and they're absolutely gorgeous, but unfortunately they are too small, but I'm gonna send them back and reorder the bigger size because oh my god, they're so beautiful. They are from Cezanne, and I've been seeing this brand a lot online lately, and every item looks stunning and such high quality. And when I saw these shoes, I've been looking for shoes like this for a very long time, and I considered getting them from Dr. Martens at first, but these just looked a little bit more like, I don't know, I just like these better. Look at it. It's so cute. I am devastated that it does not fit because I just want to wear them right now, but I have to have a little more patience and send them back first. But oh my god, so cute. I'm gonna wear this with like little socks. So I just wanted to show you that. Now I'm going to our local cafe. There's a cafe here in the street that we always go to, and it's not cute at all. It's actually pretty ugly, but it's just the closest cafe. And the atmosphere is just so nice. Like the whole neighborhood goes there, everyone knows each other, and the coffee is super cheap because it's just this local cafe, nothing fancy. So I think I'm gonna go there, take my books, take my journal, write a little, drink a coffee, and that's it. So let's go.